President Trump went to Michigan yesterday, had a little encounter with Gretchen Whitmer, but he was doing a rally on the occasion of his 100th day in office. And the crowd was sort of a typical Trump rally crowd, but given what's happened over the course of the first 100 days, there was one particularly interesting moment. We have a couple that we're going to run, but let's play this first clip after Donald Trump showed video of the alleged MS13 members heading to El Salvador, ending up at CCOT. This is what happened.
And the worst of the worst are being sent to a no-nonsense prison in El Salvador. Why don't you watch this? Watch this. Take a look.
So there were USA chants. Now, Donald Trump also floated. Well, he first said that he was going to serve 2 terms. Here's what happened after that. Let's roll this clip.
It was so important to win because they used to say, the fake news, to be a great president, you have to serve 2 terms. So now we're going to serve 2 terms. Now they've taken that one. Cross. Right? Right, Dr. Oz? Cross that one off. Cross that one off. No, they say it all the time. When I was out, they say, well, they go out.
It's like a fever dream when he says, right, Dr. Oz?
Right, Dr. Oz.
What's happening? But the crowd was chanting 3, if you couldn't hear that. And then Trump said, thank you. We actually already served 3. Then one more clip. This one is
because he was elected in 2020? Is that what he means?
I think that's what he means. Okay. It's genuinely hard to say. This is his part of his interview. So the rally's happening. He's also sitting down for an interview with Terry Moran on ABC, again to mark the 100th day of the administration. Let's roll this clip, D3.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent, that you always said was wonderful, a great genius, right? And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my #1 issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute over that.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it was Photoshopped? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because it's fake news.
When he was photographed in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No, but they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does?
So Donald Trump clearly believes that he deported someone with MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles, the letters MS and then the numbers 13 tattooed on his knuckles. That would be Kilmore Abrego Garcia, who does have tattoos that experts, some have said, resemble what gang members might have. But to be very clear, Trump thinks it said MS-13 on his knuckles. What actually happened is that the White House put they photoshopped, they actually did, to Terry Moran's point, Photoshop MS-13 onto a picture of Kilmore Abrego Garcia's knuckles to sort of demonstrate. They enhanced a picture of his knuckles so that the tattoos were more clearly visible, and then put MS-13 on it. And there was debate when the White House released that photo as to whether they wanted people to believe it was photoshopped or wanted people to believe that MS-13 actually had been tattooed on his knuckles. Donald Trump seems to have been
maybe he was the target
duped
of this hoax.
Seriously, because there was this actually somewhat interesting debate when that happened last week about whether or not people would actually believe the Photoshop or that it was very clearly indicating that they were just enhancing the picture. I was actually in the camp that was like, oh, this is so obviously Photoshopped that what they're trying to do is just make it a graphic that indicates the tattoos are MS-13, not that this is like, because they were like stenciled letters. Like, you know, it didn't look real. But I guess if you're sorry boomers, but I guess if you're a social media boomer.
Without your bifocals.
He was duped by the Photoshop and genuinely believes that Kilmore Abrego Garcia, all of this uproar, I mean, that changes the story significantly that Donald Trump believes the man has MS-13 tattooed on him, because that's a confirmation, clear as day, that he is MS-13, meaning the Democrats that are fighting to keep him, the media that is fighting to keep him, is coming from a very different place. Right.
From Trump's addled perspective, he literally thinks that Abrego Garcia has MS-13 tattooed on his fingers, and then he's like, God, what is wrong with these Democrats and the media that are like fighting over this guy who has MS-13.
And even some Republicans, by the way, who are unhappy with the decision.
Right. 25th Amendment time. Like, whoever is the marshal of the Supreme Court, like from this first term, who never showed up to arrest Trump, like 25th Amendment, man. Like this man is utterly delusional.
Am I wrong that picture was very obviously?
It was obvious.
Because I can see how
that's if you can see it. I think maybe his eyes aren't good enough, and Stephen Miller just lied to him.
I mean,
and somebody's lying to him. Like, and we'll talk about this at the end of this clip with his answer on tourism. He's watching television and apparently reading some things, so he has some like access to outside information. But clearly, his circle of advisors are either afraid of him and or are just outright lying to him to cynically manipulate him. Stephen Miller is the one with the most access to him as deputy chief of staff who would have a vested interest in lying about whether or not he has MS-13 tattooed on his hand. And also, the whole thing falls apart. He has a marijuana leaf and then a smile. You're like, okay, well, even in Spanish, you know, there's an MS there. Then there's a cross, which is like, okay, that's not a 1, that's a cross. Yeah. And then there's a skull. And that's where it's like, where do you get a 3 out of a skull? And people are like, well, you can draw a 3 somewhere onto the skull. Okay, now you're just in fantasy land. Like, it's like, smoking weed makes me happy, love the Lord till I die. Like, that's a thing that's out there. Like, that actually makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense, but I'm not ruling out that it's gang tattoos either. Also, MS-13, if you've seen, go Google image MS-13 tattoos. They say MS-13 on their face or on their back. In like, they're usually in like old-timey. Old script, but it's clear. Letters. It's clear. But you'd be thrown out of the gang. Like, hey, you're supposed to tattoo MS-13 on yourself, Kilmar. And he's like, oh yeah, I did this. It's really fancy. See how the M, the S, and then this is sort of like a 1, and this is a skull. You'd be like, you're afraid to announce your support, your membership in MS-13, so you're out. That's not how it works. Anyway. Not that it matters because none of this matters. This was photoshopped. He's wrong. It was very obvious. It was like a serif font with different. It didn't look like it was natural on the skin like a tattoo. It was wrong. Put onto the image in a way that is just mind-blowing that you would interpret that as someone's actual MS-13 tattoo. I'm not ready to rule out what's on Kilmore Abrego Garcia's knuckles as being potentially gang-related, but that's at this point beside the point because Donald Trump thinks
thinks that an obvious Photoshop is real. Like, he clearly thinks that it's real. Did you get the sense that he was lying to Terry Moran's face? I didn't. I think he genuinely believes it.
He seemed to be like really frustrated at Terry Moran for, like, his ability to take in information seems gone. And at the end he says, "Why won't you just say to me, yes, he has MS-13 on his knuckles," which is clearly that's what he wants his sycophants around him to say. Just tell me yes.
Let's skip ahead to D5. This is going to be the thought about tourism, because I think that is actually an interesting theme from some of the clips that we played. So the MS-13 clip, but also the 2 versus 3 terms clip. Let's roll tourism his way up, D5.
And Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over, Canada's going to become the 51st state. And it kind of is of a piece. A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational damage.
The country's doing great. Well, prices are down.
Not the tourism.
Gasoline's down. Energy's down. Tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now, Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
But do you think, I'm going to ask you.
So he's saying two things there. On the one hand, that numbers are fine now. On the other, that the numbers will go up. Wait till you see the numbers. Well, so this is according to CNBC. Foreign visitors to the U.S. By air fell nearly 10% in March from the same month a year earlier, and nearly 13% from before the pandemic to 4.54 million people. That's where this information that we have as of right now. Yeah, that's March.
Wait till you see April. Yeah.
So.
Well, according to Trump, wait till you see April. Like, who's lying to him? I don't like Trump's judgment in general, but I would like his judgment to be acted upon reality. Like, I want him to have accurate information, and then I disagree with or agree with what he's doing. I'd rather his advisors tell him, "Hey, man, tourism's way down. Do we care, or is this all part of the plan?" Rather than this, "Hey, boss, everything's great. Tourism is up. She's on the phone. That MS-13 is tattooed on his fingers. Like, you're killing it, boss.
So
everybody
CNBC
loves you."
CNBC also says, including land border crossings. Oh, go ahead.
And we're going to get the Fox News pollster fired. That's what Stephen Miller said yesterday.
Yeah, he said that. I actually think that there are probably some legitimate questions about the accuracy of the Fox News polls,
but they're in line with everybody else's polls.
But right now they are. Yeah, these. If you look at all the polling aggregations, yes. So including land border crossings, CNBC says inbound visitors to the U.S. fell 14% in March from last year, according to the U.S. Travel Association. So an industry
that's down.
Trade group. Yeah, that's very obviously down. Now, this clip, I want to say, Ryan, I think that sounded to me possibly just like regular Trump talking his way into success. Like, he's fluctuating between they're fine now, but they're going to be fine. Like, it just was, I felt like that was just Trump kind of bullshitting. The MS-13 one is the one that really concerns me. Also, I don't know what he was talking about when he said 2 terms and then he said 3 terms. I guess it's possibly 2020, but he said we already served 3 terms. So it's all, listen, it's very...
He's a time traveler.
I've never been on the...
you have this very, traditional understanding of time.
Yes.
Whereas he moves about it freely.
He's sort of on a higher plane.
Yeah.
But no, I've never been on the bandwagon ever, up until this point, of people who thought that Trump had some type of mental aging condition. That was something the Biden team tried to push. There's obviously something going on up there. Whether or not it's aging, I've never been on that bandwagon, to be honest. But the MS-13 one, now that one has me really. That one has me really questioning his
idiocy and
capacity.
Yeah, that could just be idiocy
or
and
lie.
bad
Someone
advisors.
lied to him.
Yeah.
To your point, I guess it is possible that somebody lied to him. Now, to put that in stark relief, let's take a look at what Donald Trump said about negotiations with Vladimir Putin, just for a reminder that the man who believes MS-13 was tattooed on Kilmore Abrego Garcia's hand is negotiating the end of a potential, or of a war involving a nuclear power. So go ahead and roll D4.
He's willing to stop the fighting. Don't
You
forget,
think he wants
this
peace?
is
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think
Still.
he does. I think because
Even with the
of
raining
me,
missiles
I
on.
think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him?
I think.
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
And
happy.
then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered
All
with
right,
a
we're back to
tattoo doesn't have the tattoo, you know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No,
But-
I'm not.
but Let me
No,
just
I am
tell you,
not, sir.
do I trust? I don't trust a lot of people. But I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine.
Okay. Again, there's a charitable reading of this where he's said this before. He's not going to talk, and Witkoff has said this, he's not going to talk trash about Putin in a way that would hamper his ability just to kind of virtue signal to American neocons in a way that would hamper the actual peace process. So on that part, I get not taking Terry Moran's bait. On the other hand, Ryan, he's still going back to the MS13 tattoo.
So he's like, yeah, I can't trust you because you think that wasn't Photoshopped.
Yeah, seriously.
Or you think that was Photoshopped. Wow.
Things are fine. We're 100 days in. Everything is proceeding apace. Everyone's
God.
happy. Tourism is up.
Feels like a lifetime. Good Lord.
Yeah. Anything else on the Terry Moran
No,
rally?
just
split
20,
screen last night?
just 25th Amendment. And look, I was for it with Biden, so
Oh,
you
gotcha.
can't get me on that hypocrisy. So I'm
Can't get
I'm
grim
for
on
it now.
this.
President Vance, get ready, lace up.
Lace up. All right, let's move on to the Houthis, Ryan, because another quite an interesting L for the good old US of A here. Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.